Okay. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Marinwood CSD Board of Directors, Tuesday, March 11th. We're going to go ahead and start at 6:35 p.m. We'll do a call to order and pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. All right. Does anybody have anything on the agenda that they want to make an adjustment on? Okay, go ahead and adopt the agenda as suggested. Any public comment on closed session items? All right, since we have no comment at 6:36, we will go into closed session.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, we are reconvening in our open session at, my phone says it's 7:08 p.m. And we have no actionable items coming out of that session. Consent calendar? Anybody have any questions on the consent calendar?
Motion to approve.
Okay, all right. Anything from the public on the consent calendar? You guys aren't gonna try to throw some questions, throw us off? Okay. Did you second?
I seconded,
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, we're good. Public comment, open time for items not on the agenda.
I'm curious on
Go for
George
it.
Lucas, what happened when he left this area? Was it
I
a
would,
vote?
I would have no idea. He actually does not live in what we cover as Marinwood.
Oh, okay.
So because he's further out of the valley, he
Oh,
doesn't
that's-
cover us.
I was always curious.
Right,
when I-
yep. All right. Anybody else? No? Okay. Item H, district matters. First draft district operating budget, fiscal year 25-26. To review at this time.
Yeah, this is just the very first, very preliminary starting of the creation of the budget process. It's gonna change quite a bit. You're gonna see it at every meeting leading up to final adoption, which is, as always, planned for the May board meeting. So you'll see this version, you'll see a much farther along version in April. My goal with the April presentation is usually to be at as close to 90-95% complete and feeling good with where final numbers are going to shake out, so that May has some very minor adjustments left to be made, and then final approval. Coming into it, and I gave you obviously a staff report. There's still a lot of areas that do need analysis on the revenue side, really kind of looking at tax trends for all of the ad valorums. I haven't had a chance to sit with the rec team yet to go through. We'll update all of their anticipated revenues and expenses with all of the year-round of the rec programs. And then also on the expenditure side, right now, the only real changes, although I have been working on this since this published version, it's just kind of a lot of the low-hanging fruit that I know what it is. It doesn't require a lot of analysis, it just requires updating. So we'll go through that and look at all of that with all the departments as well. Otherwise, just some items of note on the second page that I have here. For now, the primary ad valorem tax, the number that I have put into the budget basically represents what I am actually expecting to receive this year. Because with the December allocation, it was trending a little bit higher than we budgeted for, so that number is what I'm expecting this year. Typically, I'll kind of look at it, I'll get some advice from county finance in terms of their forecasts, and then we'll ratchet that up a little bit. All of the other ad valorums are really kind of up and down and everywhere. I usually try to look at a 3 to 5 year trend cycle with those. I rarely make significant adjustments to those because I think they're kind of right in there now, but if I'm seeing something that says, okay, over the last 3 years, they've generated significantly more than we budgeted, then I'll ramp up the budget a little bit. Same thing if it's the opposite direction. Although we do tend to try to be more conservative on that front. Property liability and workers' comp insurance. You guys are gonna be shocked, but I'm anticipating them to go up. On the property liability side, we haven't got any firm numbers from our carrier, which is SDRMA. We've been with them for 30+ years. But they did recently send out a letter that said they're anticipating on the P&L side as much as 10 to 12% of an increase. Working that through is a little bit trickier than the work comp, but that'll be done shortly hereafter, so you'll kind of see. But if you just look at what current year is, add 10 to 12% to that is roughly where I'll wind up budgeting it. If you remember last year, we didn't get final numbers until June, after the budget was adopted. So this is just gonna be one of those things where we're gonna have to try to be close enough, which we were. And then when we did the amendment in January, we actually kind of firmed up, especially on the work comp side. One thing I did do on the work comp side is to the base rates, I applied a 10% inflator to what those base rates were. However, what's known as an experience modification factor, where they take your average total number of paid claims over the last 3 years versus the pool average, has always been slightly higher. Ours is actually down to 114%, which is actually really good, considering especially we have some high-risk jobs that involve injury. Then nothing on the capital side has been done. Anything you see in there on the capital are things that I'm anticipating may be carried over. I have removed items that were already completed or we know are going to be completed this fiscal year. I still need to sit with Luke, I still need to sit with the fire guy, so that's, and obviously capital are usually larger dollar items, so we'll see what we have there. The one thing I will kind of point out on the fire budget is this fiscal year, we actually paid the final installment on the engine lease. So that has come off the budget for now. It's not a huge amount, it's about $43,000 total in interest and principal. But that is no longer on there, which is why now there's nothing marked in that section under the fire. Again, very preliminary. There's a lot more coming, a lot of work still to be done on it. As of today, I'm actually slightly ahead of where I typically am at this time, so I'm trying to get this. We have some other things kind of happening, so I'm trying to get this as far along. Anytime I have a moment to sit and think and look at it. And again, hopefully, I think within the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to sit down with rec, because all the rec part of the budget is kind of a big piece that fluctuates a lot when we start factoring in what camp plans are, what the school year plans are, anticipated expenditures, so on and so forth. So, any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Just confirming on page 9 of 10 that under the capital reserve designations for the fire department, that's where we would be doing the build out? That's where that's gonna get listed, or
Capital reserve,
designation 5
toward the
to
bottom.
910 towards the bottom, it's like the last one. I don't know if it's capital outlay.
no, what that is,
improvements,
okay, no. What that is basically the 100,000 that the board designates every
Okay.
year as board designated reserves. That gets put into the budget,
Okay.
just so that way it is a placeholder. It's not an expense.
Okay.
When you put that in, we still control and maintain the asset. But it also allows you to see, if we put 100,000 towards a board designated reserve, what's the overall impact? So I write that into the budget process, so you can
Okay.
kind of see what that is. And then at the end of the year, as we go through the audit, is when we record that or not.
So it's
based
more
on-
probably in the improvements area for
What's that?
maybe.
Yeah, a long time ago when we first started that, and
Yeah.
we first redid kind of the chart of accounts, that was really looked at as kind of a capital improvement fund, capital
Okay.
maintenance fund, which is why it's called capital reserve designations. But in theory, it's nothing more than a board designated reserve that is not restricted only to capital. It can be used for any purpose the board wants it to be used for. It sits in our general fund, it's just recorded separately on our balance sheet.
I was just trying to figure out where the
Yeah.
that was gonna be listed.
No, the build out, you don't see it on there. If you look the line above and you look under 24-25 budget, you see it says 60 grand, and then you look under 25-26, you see nothing.
Yeah.
Because that build out's gonna be done and paid for before the
Okay,
end of this fiscal
perfect.
year.
Okay.
Great. Anybody else have any other questions on the preliminary budget?
Good job.
All right, thank you very much,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, more to come.
Okay. Can we go to item H2, resolution 2025-01, our first one of the year. Increasing the amount of the special tax for fire protection and emergency services?
Yeah, so I gave you again another staff report here. These are two separate resolutions, so they're gonna need two separate motions, seconds, and votes.
Right.
These are for voter-approved special assessments, meaning when they were put on the ballot, they received 66.67 or greater of the voter thing. Written into these, it calls for the ability to apply an annual CPI adjustment. We always measure CPI as of December 31st of the prior year.
Okay.
As of the December 31st CPI, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, it fell at 2.4% this year. Those actually have been factored into the draft budget that you've already seen. Total approximate impact, if you were to approve these, if we were to apply 2.4% CPI, would be about 44,600 and change, with 11,500 increase in the park and 33,060 increase in the fire. To also be very clear, for park, for the fire, what it would result in is an increase to the per square foot charge of 0.0097 cents per square foot. So do the math, average house in Marinwood's 1,600 square feet. It's not a huge adjustment, I don't have the math immediately in front of me, but it would bring the total per square footage charge from 0.4060 cents, and yes, they do require us to carry this out to the fourth, to 0.4157 cents. And then on the park, which is a little bit more easy because that's based on total number of units on a given parcel, that would go from $247.34, it would increase by a total of $5.94 to $253.28 per unit.
Okay, so that's, okay.
That would be standard for every unit, as
Okay.
opposed to the fire side, which is based on square
Sure,
footage, living space, square footage.
Yep, okay.
My recommendation is you approve both.
Yeah, of course.
This is what we do.
Right.
2.4 is actually relatively low, considering where it's been in the past 10 years. We track this on an every year basis. Last year was 2.6, some years it's a little over 3.
Okay,
But for this year, we came in at 2.4%.
all right. Anybody have any questions on either one of the resolutions? Okay, we'll take one resolution at a time. Oh, yeah, thank you. Anything from the public on either one of these resolutions? Okay, thank you, Bella, appreciate the reminder. Any motions on 2025-01?
I move to approve 2025-01.
Go ahead.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous, and 2025-02?
I motion to approve resolution 2025-02.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimous for both. Okay,
Good job, everyone.
district manager report, Eric?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. The rest
okay.
of my job.
Quick update on the fire station, the bunk room conversion project. We did put this out. We got 6 proposals in. Proposals had a very unusually large range, with a low coming in at 49,800 and a high coming in at 96,500. I hear you. That said, the majority of the things came in right around, between 58 and 65,000. We actually went with one of the contractors who came in at 58,000, so it stayed under that 60,000 construction budget that we had anticipated. Stayed well under any thresholds that require a higher level of formality in the bidding and RFP process. Right now, everything has been sent. The contractor is simply pulling bonds, getting insurance documents in order, and once all that's done, we'll be able to fully execute the contract. We're actually anticipating starting this at some point next week. I am working with the company that designed all of the Murphy beds that are currently in the bunk room. They will be coming out ideally sometime next week to disassemble all of those, flatten them out so we can store everything properly. So they have a blank slate to work with in the room, and then when that's all done, the bed company will come back out and reinstall the beds, but to the configurations that we're calling for. So right now you have a wall of 5 and a wall of 4 Murphy beds. They'll become 3 sets of 2 and 3 single beds, all installed within the individual rooms that we're building. But I do see this going, it should be starting up, like I said, with construction within the next week or two. The contractor does not anticipate this to be any more than 30 days from start to finish for the construction aspect of it. That includes paint, everything, and then again, as soon as he's done, the bed guy, according to his schedule, will come in and reinstall all the bedding. Any questions on that?
Have we worked with this contractor before? Do we know?
I have not specifically worked with him. That said, one of the main reasons we went with this particular contractor is he has worked with local agencies, especially in the city of Novato. He's done projects for the police station for the city, as well as some remodel and maintenance work for the fire station. He got a positive reference when we followed up on references for him, and given his familiarity working in and around fire stations, and the fact that they came in at a very competitive bid was what pushed this person over the top.
Okay.
He did come in, he was very communicative, made a couple different site visits in the process, had good questions. And then I actually sat and we went through all the proposals. Jeff Smith, one of our engineers, and I, who has a prior life as a contractor and a builder, we looked through everything, came up with a list of questions, whittled it down to a smaller group, shot them off some follow-up questions, and based on all of that, kind of made the mutual decision to move forward with this particular outfit.
Great.
Yeah. And then just a quick update on the LAFCO election. A meeting or two ago, you were presented with the opportunity to nominate somebody as a potential candidate to be on the LAFCO board. We did not nominate anybody. As it turns out, countywide, one person was nominated, and that was the current incumbent whose term is ending. He's a gentleman named Craig Murray. I've had a lot of experience and interactions with Craig. I actually think he's really, really good at that role. He's a very good representative of special district interests. He's very active in the Marin County Special District Association, sitting on their executive board for that too. He's a good pick. Because there was only one, he was automatically appointed, so there won't be an election of one. I remember telling you that, if there's multiple candidates, it would come back, at which point you would cast a formal vote for your preferred candidate, but since there's only one, that's not gonna happen. But he'll be in there in the term. His new term starts in May, and we'll take him through May 2029. That's what I got.
I just wanted to go back to the bunkhouse thing.
Yeah.
How are we, if these guys are gonna be out of their bedroom for a month, how are we dealing with that?
I've talked to them
Okay.
about that, I'm trying to make up some other arrangements. Right now, they do have one rollaway bed. I said if they wanna order more, 2 more of those,
Right.
that they can. There are other places where they can kind of set them up. I'm happy to let Captain Brackett speak to some more of that. I'm not 100% sure what their internal conversations
Okay.
were. At the end of the day, for 30 days or so, it's going to be a disruption.
Right, for sure.
There's just not a lot of way around that, and my goal is to try to make it as least disruptive as
Yeah.
possible. I think in the long run, it'll be a much better scenario than what they're currently
Yeah,
living
for sure.
in. So I don't know, Ryan, if you had anything you wanted to.
No, I did order 2 more rollaway beds, so we'll have 3 total. I might have talked to you, the one we initially have is kind of like a large child size one. But, we did have
I'm not even sure how to respond to
Yeah.
that.
we did have a Santa Fe engineer work the other day and forgot a CPAP machine, so he slept in there and said it worked fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But, yeah, so we.
But its feet were hanging over the end?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, to say the least, but, yeah,
Well,
so,
we can talk
Yeah,
offline.
yeah.
We need to get a third one that's,
yeah, so we
adult
talked
size.
about each office, radio room, or,
Okay.
yeah.
I would just
figure
like
it
to
out.
point out though that Captain Brackett did order the one that we currently have now, so.
Ordered it 10 years ago for the volunteers, so. Yeah, it's an older one.
Right on. I just wanna make sure you guys feel like you're taken care of in there.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a month.
Yeah.
It's, we understand that there's gonna be a disruption. We went through it when we did the flooring and stuff, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's,
In the kitchen,
yeah, but like I said, Eric's been in constant contact with us to make sure that we're taken care of, and yeah, we feel that we are, and
Perfect.
figure it out. Like I said, it's a
All right.
month, so suck it up.
Appreciate you guys.
Yep, thank you.
That seems to be the motto, huh?
That's pretty much been it for a while. Suck it up.
Right, okay. Item I1, appointment of fire commissioners for terms ending in December 31st, 2026.
Yep, we have two active fire commissioners whose terms technically have now expired. They are Steve Barak, who's actually served as the commission chair for quite a few years, and a gentleman named John Surratt, who's been on the commission for I think maybe just finished his third year, but came in on he was appointed into a term that was already in progress.
Gotcha.
But so his term is coming up. They have both reached out to me. They have both expressed interest in being reappointed. I would certainly recommend that they are both reappointed. What that leaves is essentially we have two vacant alternate commission seats available. One is specific to CSA 13 residents. I've been working with Greg Stilson, who is the commissioner representative for CSA 13, to see if we can't find somebody from there who would be interested in filling in as the alternate or sitting in as the alternate. Then we also have one regular commission seat available, as well as an alternate for Marinwood residents. We do have a person who is actually quite interested in getting on the commission, didn't have a chance to, as a new commissioner, submit a letter of interest, was at the last meeting, anticipates going to the next meeting. And otherwise we can keep kind of pushing that out, and word of mouth seems to be the best way of recruiting these people for this role. I've always said, you get strong people on strong boards because somebody asked them to support and help. So hopefully we have something there. But in the meantime,
Does
for the
he
purpose
have
of-
to apply at this time, or can he
no,
apply?
we can apply at any time.
Because
he
there's an
would
open
just-
seat.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
Anybody have any questions? Any questions from the public?
I do.
Yeah, do it.
So this disruption that you're gonna have with bunk beds, is there anything else that could be done at the same time, so you disrupt them one time for multiple needs?
Oh, I see what you're
If you
saying.
have the budget?
We're backing up.
Yeah.
Okay,
Different, yes,
okay.
yes.
So you're talking about,
She's talking about the firehouse project.
yeah, not the
Right.
commission appointments
Right.
topic
Right.
that we're on right now. I'm not 100% sure, but we are certainly talking and working with them to try to make them as comfortable as we can make them for the month. Ultimately, the room where they sleep is gonna be remodeled. It's a giant, dormitory style, not giant. It's a not a big room.
Nothing.
It's a
about it,
dormitory
so.
style room right now with multiple beds in one open room, and what we are doing is building 3 separate sleeping/living quarters into there. So while that's happening, we're trying to make accommodations the best that we can, and then
Right, but do they have a need for other upgrades that you
Right.
might take the opportunity
We've
to do
we've
now?
redone the kitchen, obviously the flooring, stuff like that.
there's a need for a lot of upgrades. What there
The budget,
isn't,
yeah.
what there isn't is the resources to provide for a lot of upgrades. If that better answers your question.
About the budget, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. As president, I just go ahead and appoint these guys, right?
No,
No.
this is a board action.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All those in favor of
Now you need a
appointing.
motion in a second.
Oh,
Okay, I motion to, do I need to do it individually?
Yep.
You can do them both in one motion.
I motion
But we didn't-
to reappoint Steve Peruk and John Surratt to the Fire Commission for the term expiring on December 31st, 2026.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are unanimous there. Chief, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing real well, thank you.
All right, so verbal report this week. Unfortunately, I do not have response times, Kathleen. We're still working.
That's 2 months in a row.
I know. And every time I think about it, it hurts me that I have to tell you this, that we don't have something. But I'm hoping that
It'll be
next
better
month,
next month.
I'm hoping that next month.
Don't hope. No, I'm just kidding.
That's a directive. So I'm happy to report that we did submit a conditional offer for firefighter paramedic last week, and they took it. We're now in the process of doing background checks, and doing the whole background as far as the medicals, the psychological, all that stuff. So tentative plan right now, that we will bring this person on board as fast as possible. The tentative plan is I'm also hiring 2 or 3 lateral firefighters on the San Rafael side to bring them in under that academy. So it's kind of a fast-paced academy, and then we'll coordinate with Engine 58 to make sure that we get them down there also during that time. Quickly put them on the shift to get them on the ambulance to get some paramedic time on them. This young man is a fairly new paramedic, but also a very intelligent person. So we feel that he's going to be a real good addition to the shop for sure. So we'll get them up to speed with everything, and then we'll send them on over here.
Do we need another bed?
Yeah.
One more.
Did you say we need another bed?
That's why,
Oh.
roll
Oh,
it, do we need to
another guy? Oh, I
order
thought
3
you
now?
said another guy.
Do we need to order 3 now?
I don't know, I haven't met him, so I don't know how tall he is, but
Okay.
he might fit on the,
Might go on the backup
just
one?
the,
That's what we did with turnouts, we just hired on the side.
Just out of curiosity, being from outside of your industry, how long does that take to go from signing on the dotted line to when he pulls a first shift, assuming everything runs
I'm gonna say
fairly
about 2
smoothly?
months and everything running smooth, and that's fast tracking it. So
Sure.
traditionally you would do an 8-week academy.
Okay,
We've been able to condense it, especially this young man does have fire experience from Cal Fire in the
Okay.
past and worked at a station that was fairly busy also. So we feel that we can get him on board. If something does happen in there in the process that we have to slow down a little bit, we probably will just put him in the field and then just work with him during that part of it. It does allow us, it's our academy, our accelerated lateral academy, but it does allow us the flexibility of contracting it or expanding it depending on the experience of the firefighter. So
Okay.
it's one of the unique things that we do have there. Otherwise, they're in there for a minimum of 2 months, 2 to 3 months.
okay,
It does take about a month to do the background. We're running the same process that we would run anybody else in the San Rafael sites, and we've already been able to contract a couple of background investigators that will be able to do the fast track on it. So I think we've got it down to science now to be able to get it as fast as possible as far as getting go to it. And we usually will hold, knowing that we're bringing somebody on board, we'll start making appointments for the medical, the occupational, all that stuff takes a great deal of time.
sure,
But we had already scheduled some of that stuff prior to with the lateral, so we just kind of slipped them in there.
okay. Great.
So it actually, like everything seems to be working out right now. So we're really happy that the way it's working out.
Fantastic,
Yeah,
right?
that's like fun.
So hopefully we'll get them on board here pretty soon,
Okay,
or we will get them on board here pretty soon.
alright. Thank you very much, Chief, appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I'm not sure if you guys heard that Cal Fire released some local jurisdictional maps, some fire severity maps. It comes to be a buzz right now as far as those maps. Most of it, it was specific maps to the LRA, basically identifying specific hazards within the local responsibility area. The state responsibility area, they've always had that there. Most of the area along the hills and the watershed is state responsibility anyway, but they added that to it. So now the process will work, and I still have to work with you, see if we need to bring it to here or if the county does it as far as the LRA stuff, the local jurisdiction.
My understanding and what little I've been able to learn is that I think it kind of is gonna start with county as the Cal Fire thing. The concern has been brought that there are 2 sections of Marinwood that are more recently built. One is Lucas Valley Estates, the other is Regency Estates. Both of these were built in the 80s as opposed to the rest of Marinwood that was built in the 50s and 60s. The 50s and 60s are all classified and designated within what's known as a local responsibility area. These newer developments are state responsibility area. So I'm not exactly sure. I've spoken actually to the civil engineer behind both of these projects, developments, who seems to feel pretty confidently that at the time these were done, the paperwork was done to have them placed into the LRA, and for whatever reason, never really got recorded at a state level for this. And it's especially on some of these where they basically extended a street or whatever, you will have a house built in 1960 that is in the local area, the house right next door
Right.
that was built in 1980 that is in the state responsibility
Oh,
area
that's fun.
on the exact same street. And they also have different severity designations when it comes to fire. One is designated as very high and one's designated as high. We're looking into it. Chief Roman has been trying to look into this a little bit more too. We definitely have heard from a few people now that they've released these kind of updated maps. Even looking at older maps, that was always the way. Having the state responsibility area, the SRA, that really involves the entire watershed, all of the open space, and goes right up to the property lines of residential properties, is incredibly beneficial for the entire community as well as the district, because it just allows for much greater fire response and resources that come in basically from the state, which in Marin County is Marin County Fire, because they represent CAL FIRE. They have the contract for CAL FIRE in Marin County. But it's odd that you have these weird residential patches that are designated as SRA instead of LRA, when you're literally could be a house apart. And they're
So
both
SRA is better.
There's no better or worse.
I don't know that it's better or worse, but they do have different designations.
So SRA basically, they've already allotted money to respond to fires, because it's considered a watershed area. It's usually where we get the wildland fires, the really large ones. Usually in the LRA area, usually the flats, it's smaller fires, it's usually marshlands or smaller areas that doesn't have a continuous type of vegetation or anything like that. However, with that being said, if we get a fairly large fire in the LRA, we could still apply for what's called Fire Management Assistance Grant, which is usually what generates the FEMA type of generating of money. But then we're responsible to do it instead of CAL FIRE, or in this case, Marin County Fire, speaking on behalf of CAL FIRE. So it is a little bit politically, I think we're all right. I mean, we're still gonna get the funds if there's a fire here, but it's gonna be a little more work that we have to do.
Can I just ask a clarification? So Grasshopper Hill, is that LRA
I
area?
don't know exactly, I'd have to see the map.
Hypothetically.
The houses
versus-
around it, no. That would be LRA,
Correct, and then, and the Blackstone, those houses are the SRA.
correct.
Gotcha, okay, thank you.
What did you call the other, there's Lucas Valley Estates, and then what did you call the other one?
Regency Estates.
What's that?
Regency Estates is all the newer development on the northern end of Marinwood.
So like the end of Las
Like
Colinas.
Black-
The end of Las
Blackstone.
Colinas, where Blackstone extends past the monastery, the end of Heatherstone, the large estates that are up on top of
So like when you go
Heatherstone.
up Queenstone and you're looking,
Right past the
walking up and
Yeah,
there you go,
yeah,
it's all you gotta
1000%.
go on that.
Those
there.
are all-
Regency Estates. I've
Those
never
are
heard
all
of
part of, well, yeah, it's the Regency Estates Homeowner Association.
Wait, there's a homeowners association too? Where have we been?
Well, you don't live in it, so, you know.
No.
I happen to live right there, and I've interacted with these people quite a bit, so I know a lot about it.
Interesting, I don't wanna slow us down, that's interesting. Well,
Yeah,
that's
figure
my
out.
entire life.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then one last thing, we have done a reorganization of our vegetation management division and the emergency office of emergency services in Centerville. So we've gone from fixed term positions to 5 permanent career positions on there. The reason for that is a couple of things. One of them is that there is a great deal of frustration from citizens out there who still get service for about 6 months to a year, and then that person will decide that they want to go work somewhere else
Yeah.
full time. So then we're left with having to redo everything again, and here we are again. So we've been spending a lot of time in that. Finally, we've been able to secure funds to be able to have career positions. So I'm happy to say we'll have 5 additional career positions there. We're working right now to figure out what we're gonna do with seasonal type of, as far as the inspectors, the seasonal inspectors on there. Our primary option, or what we'd like to do, is to contract with the MWPA to be able to get those seasonal inspectors on board. If that doesn't happen, we've got a plan B of bringing our own seasonals, just like we've had in previous years. So right now, we're negotiating that part of there, making sure that we're all getting a good deal with that and not paying too much for it. So that's part we're having conversations right now. And once we get on board with that, we'll extend that offer to you guys also. But we are making sure that we're getting the best bang for our buck on that part of it there.
Perfect.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Chief?
I'm excited about the new hire.
Yeah, oh my.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions from the public on that report? All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Drive safe.
All right. Item J1, appointment of Park and Rec Commissioners. We're gonna talk about them now.
Yep, this is is very similar to fire. We've had 2 active commissioners whose terms are ending. We do also have a vacant alternate commission. Both of the commissioners have expressed to me in writing their desire to be reappointed, their interest in continuing to serve. They are Angela Bliss Steiner and Ryan Madden. They've both been good contributors to the group. I would recommend that they are reappointed for another 2-year term that will expire at the end of December of next year.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
I'm hesitant.
Right.
Which one?
Any questions from the public?
I don't know those people.
Right. They're wonderful people. We are lucky to have them serving on our
very
commission.
Oh,
Alright, so I propose that we approve the reappointment of Angela Steiner and Ryan Madden for, okay. Do I have to finish the sentence?
No.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay, too long for you.
Man, this is blowing through it.
Luke, rec and park maintenance activity reports.
Thank you. Yeah, so the busy season is upon us in the recreation department. We opened up camp registration, camp and swim lessons and all the other things for the summer last week. We opened on Tuesday, March 4th for the Marinwood residents and March 6th for the general public. And so far, the registration's been really solid and everything's gone really well. We've had a few little small glitches that we always have with people's logins and various things, but I think it was one of our most seamless and easy registration opening weeks that we've had that I can remember. And so it's been super busy, but everything's going smoothly. Early reports looking at kind of where we're at with enrollment, it seems like things are above last year at this time for camps by a good amount, and maybe a little under for swim lessons and some of the specialty camps. So overall, everything's up, but we've got a few targeted areas we're going to continue to market. And so that's been going really well. Staff have been great. It's just a ton of walk-ins and phone traffic and emails. But everything's going really well, and we're feeling very encouraged about the level of interest in all of our programs for the summer. So hopefully that just continues on through the spring, but early indications show that if anything, our programs are more popular than ever, and everything's going according to plan. So that's been very good. We opened the pool for the Marinwood Water Devils on February 26th. They had just a couple-day intro splash week for the new kids. And then they started their full practice on March 3rd. And so far, it's been great to see them out there. Everything's been going great. And I haven't made any issues. They had their big pizza bingo team party on Friday, and I heard that was a good time. And yeah, so that's been great. The pool opens.
First time since COVID.
Is that their first pizza bingo since COVID?
Yeah.
I would have gotten that wrong on a multiple choice test. I figured that's happening every year, but I guess not. And then, yeah, so the swim team will continue through the end of the month, just the swim team going on, and then we open up to the general public on March 31st for our full pool season. And John Paul's training staff and hiring guards and making sure everything's in place for that. It sounds like things are going to be all set for the new pool season. So far so good on that. The month of March is always a good time for us to get last minute cleanup and repairs and stuff done in the pool, and so things are looking good. Our last, most recent special event was our annual Raise a Glass Winter Wine Tasting, which was on Saturday, March 1st. And it was a great event, a great time. I think this was one of the record years for how many wineries wanted to attend. It's usually kind of a struggle to get all the wineries to commit, and everyone was just knocking down our door to come to this event this year. We probably had a couple too many. It was probably like a little too packed in there, but it was a good problem to have. And it went really well. The event was well attended. We had a good band, great food, and it was just a really wonderful time. So, and the weather cooperated. We had people outside at the fire pit going, and so it was. We've done that event in the rain, and it's always iffy because we do it in February or early March, late February, and it's always kind of like, is it going to? So it was nice to be able to use the outdoor space. It would have been real stuffy if we'd had to force everybody inside the whole time. But we offered childcare again this year, and that was very, very well attended. I think we had plenty of staff to wrangle all those kids, and it went really well. So. Our next event is the Spring Art Show, our annual Spring Art Show, which is on April 5th, and things are coming together for that. So that should be another really nice art show. And kind of not regular news. The recreation staff is all going to be attending the CPRS, which is California Parks and Recreation Society annual conference in Sacramento next week. It's a 3-day conference. And it's an awesome time for the staff to go and get exposed to a bunch of the latest new developments in recreation, find out about new program ideas, staffing hacks. We get to go to a big expo and find out about sports equipment and playground developments and all sorts of great things. We always come away from this with a lot of good ideas, a lot of great new things to add to our trainings, add to our summer camp offerings, and it's just a lot of fun. So we're really looking forward to spending that time next week doing that, and we're just really hoping that the office is really mellow for those that are left behind to man the phones on the front counter in our office.
Is it just you, Eric?
No, we've got staff. We've got staff coming in to help out. But it's in a little bit of an awkward time. We just opened up camp registration, and we're all going to leave, but it should be good. But I'll be happy to report back on all the wonderful things that we learn and glean from that, and it'll be, so we're excited about that.
They went on this a couple of years ago, the very week after they opened up Camp Reg.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. Everything was great.
You guys could almost go see an A's game.
Right? I mean, so.
Yeah, so.
I feel like Tiffany might be closing the door.
That we've got a 2-week buffer, so
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
be fine. But they do have staff who will be there able to handle registrations and things, so.
Yeah, we'll
We can come and, we can do shows answering phones.
we'll let you know, Simone. On the parks maintenance front, we have been doing some pool prep for the pool season. This week we've got some pool deck repair going on, just patching some cracks and making sure everything's safe for the kids out there, making sure that we smooth over some areas that have been worn away. But that's happening today and tomorrow. In the end of last month, was discovered, well, a little bit earlier, we discovered that our main pool heater, one of them was not really working after the winter season, and the other one was kind of intermittently having some struggles. So we were able to get a deal and get them both replaced just in time for the start of swim team practice. Timing actually worked out perfectly for that. It was actually kind of an amazing thing. The pool stayed at temperature for everybody. It was a little iffy there for a second. But so we're going into the new season with 2 new heaters, which is great. Both of our previous heaters had exceeded their predicted lifespans. One of them by almost double, which is awesome. And so nothing weird there. We just kind of got lucky on those and were able to get 2 new ones. And so hopefully those last us for a good long time. But we got those in just in time, and then the staff have been helping get some other things done, just cleaning up the bathrooms, getting some repairs done on some of the benches. And then also, we had a swing set out at Creekside that was loose, that we removed the swings from while we figured out what was going on with that. We were able to get some replacement hardware and fix that. Swings are back up, so that swing set's back up and running. Everything is good out there. And then lastly, we just had a little bit of tree trimming work going on at Creekside Path and down near the park shop this week. One tree growing into our power lines, cleaning up, so there's no issues there. And then there's some lightening of some canopies out over some houses in Creekside. So that's all I want to report. Please let me know if you guys have any questions about anything else. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
The wine event was phenomenal. I thought it was really crowded. My wife thought the wine selections were excellent.
Oh, thanks, Bill.
Yeah. Bill belongs to 7 new wineries now.
I'll have to go to Italy and bring some.
Right. Yeah. I had one question behind behind where that plastic shed is, where in like the baby pool area.
Yeah.
Did we lose
No.
some of that
So we had a slide behind the top pool a number
was
of
a
years
while
ago, maybe
ago,
like
right?
2018, 19. There was we had a small event
Yeah.
that we lost some land and had to redo the fencing along there.
Mhm.
So there's been some erosion along that bank over the years. And a lot of it was kind of hidden by a lot of ivy and blackberry
Right.
and stuff. So we have cut. We went down and cut a lot of that back just to see what's going on down there and what we have to work with and what's going on. And so we did find that erosion has continued a little bit. Nothing catastrophic or that needed any sort of wild intervention, but we did do some erosion control plantings that we've been doing in other areas. We were able to do that in that area, and so we're just trying to shore that up so we don't have a major impact to the infrastructure. I was trying to be kind of proactive.
Yeah, totally.
So we did clear the area, which it looks a lot different without all that like overgrowth of ivy.
I think that's probably what I meant.
Yeah, so it's been cleared away, and we're just trying to just do whatever we can to sort of shore that up. But things are looking better than I expected once we revealed it all.
Okay.
It was just looked very steep, and it was just kind of unknown, and so
Right.
now we have a better handle on what's going on
Okay.
out there. And it should be okay.
Cool. Good. That's good news. All right. Anybody else? Any questions from the public on the Park and Rec side?
I'm just wondering your name, your title, and your role.
Not
my
allowed
name
to take
is-
him from us.
What were you thinking?
My name is Luke Fretwell. I'm the Recreation Director. I also oversee the Parks Maintenance Department.
Thank you.
What? No. Okay. Any board member items of interest? All right, we seem good there. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and adjourn at 7:54 p.m. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.